Good evening. We are excited to have you here. Okay, so this is day 5 of Ignite Your Soul Connection. And this week we have been talking about let's save our family. So I hope you have been with us this whole time, but if you haven't, you can always catch the replays. The replays are on YouTube under the same name, Ignite Your Soul Connection. And we started off Sunday night where we began a conversation about balancing male and female energy. And then on Tuesday, we talked about nutrition is weaponized, right? Or was that Monday? That was Monday. And then on Tuesday, we spoke with Martin about family goals, making family goals matter. Yes. And then last night, I had an amazing conversation with Robert Nixon about family time, the power of family time. So it's natural that we come to tonight and we're talking about matters of self education. Now, all of you know we're recognizing the summer solstice. So, if you needed a topic for education, that would be a good topic to Google and go on YouTube and look up because you need to know what the summer solstice is about so that you can have access to that energy. Okay? The universe is always with us. Okay? So, we are going to have a wonderful conversation with two of my lovely Master Force coaches. We have Alanda Gregory. Come on in, Alanda, and introduce yourself. And we have Yetunde. Yetunde, come on in.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Alanda Gregory. I am a Master Force coach. I've been a coach since 2012. I am from Chicago, but I'm currently a resident of Dubuque, Iowa. Uh, I became a coach because I needed a change in my life. I was doing things just living life, didn't realize what was happening with what was going on. I was leaving a relationship that was uh, over. And then I had to find something new. I had to just do something with myself because I was not feeling like I was going anywhere. But I thought it was very important to do some more self work on myself. I have 5 children. I have, I think now 8 grandchildren. I lost count. I have 8 grandchildren. I'm married. And I'm going to share about my experience with self education because I grew up learning how to educate myself because of the people in my life. So I can't wait to share this experience with you guys. Thank you for inviting us and having us here. And I enjoy this. So I hope you all learned something. Get your notebooks ready.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, Yetunde, let us get
Gre-
to know you a little bit.
yes, greetings all. Thank you all for tuning in. I have been a Master Force certified life coach since 2014, 2015.
Mm-hmm.
I got into being a life coach because I started off my path doing healing work as a Reiki master teacher, doing sound healing, and I was seeing a lot of people that needed some guidance. They needed additional guidance other than what I had on the table with them. So being a life coach allowed me to give them a organized way for me to tap into their mind, body, and spirit and really go into a very deep place of healing with them. But even before that, the path of being a life coach, as well as going right into our topic about our self education. And for me, I would also say self care. Um, it was important for me to have tools to work with myself before I could work with anyone else. So that was one of the things that got me into doing life coaching. I have 2 wonderful children. I have many godchildren and students who call me their Mama Lotus, right? This topic, as I said, very important to me. I'm all about, as healers, it is very important for us to have some self-education and some self-care. And I'm excited to share the tools that I have learned over the years and things like that.
Wonderful. Thank you, thank you. And I just love you guys. I don't get enough time with the people that I love. I was noticing that. Like, I'm sitting here missing you all, right? I'm like,
We miss you.
that's it. And so these conversations are good, if nothing else, to bring us into each other's space and to remind us who we are for each other. So I just want you to know that I really appreciate you taking time out, because I know both of you are busy. That I do know. So let's get into it. The question that I want to start out with is, why is it important to continue to educate ourselves beyond our formal education? Because I know a lot of people, they go on and they get master's degrees and more master's degrees and PhDs, and they think they have reached a point where no one can provide information to them. And that's just not true. So why is it important to educate ourselves beyond our formal education? So
Yes.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yes. I think it's really important because once you get all of those degrees and PhDs and more masters, you become exposed to another part of yourself. And the getting information and learning about yourself outside of some of your formal training and degrees will actually allow you to learn another level of yourself, and you can apply that back to what you learned in your formal workings. You get to really allow your gifts to shine. It's one thing where you can know things by the book, and just because you have a degree in something does not mean that you are gifted in that area. You might just have the knowledge, but you might not have applied wisdom. And it is the learning who you are outside of that allows you to function. It allows you to connect with others. It allows you to really step into your purpose, even within whatever your masters that you got. And you might even find that that's not even where you need to be anyway from that. So that's one of the things that I think about when I think of getting further education outside of what your master's is. It's very important.
That is so well said, because knowledge is not the same as applied wisdom. As a matter of fact, you can learn a lot of stuff and never use it. You can just know a lot of things and you can recite a lot of statistics and facts and figures, but if it doesn't change the quality of your life, what's the point? Okay, what do you have to add, Alanda? Now you say Alanda.
I say Alanda.
Okay.
Alanda. I don't know. Just
Well, I must call you Aretha before this.
Oh my goodness, that's a whole discussion. I blew folks' mind when I told them my first name. They just clutched their pearls because they couldn't. Anyway, I totally
right.
I totally agree though with Yetunde. I do agree that you can have all of those concepts. Applying them is one thing, because all of the certifications, I had finally got a degree, but I had already did all the work that I needed to get the degree, and the degree don't even matter. They stop asking for it. So I grew up of course, with you, but you and my mother both taught me about knowing, getting your own education, because what you learn, no one else can take it from you. And I have always been curious anyway. So I'm one of those people that have a quest for knowledge. If I see something, I want to know more about it. So the importance of it is also something that you can actually creatively, because I'm a creative professional. So you can creatively develop your wisdom. You can use all of these things that you've learned. And that's what I've done. I went through the certifications. I have Microsoft cert, all these things, right? But I took those things and used it in a creative way to build the business that I have. So I am self-taught, but it also is something that you can't really learn in school. They can give you all these concepts, but how to apply it. Like, okay, I'm doing it like the book. This is what it says, but that's just a broad statement. But if it's not you that's poured into it, that's the self-education part. So that creative visualization steps in. And so when you are getting into that, you are starting to really see how intelligent you are. So it's actually, to me, it's a game. I'm very surprised of what I know and what I document and what I take a lot of notes. So these are some of the things that most people take for granted. Having degrees and certifications are great. But when you can really sit down and say, I did that, and you're doing it, you are pretty much certifying yourself, and no one
That's
else can take that for you.
You better say that. You are certifying yourself.
Because no one else can do it. Like, you can teach what you do, but nobody can do it with what you do. So you're certifying yourself, and all the hours you pour into it, you can certify that that's your work.
That's your work. And this is what you do. And you give the answer for me when people say, well, who certified you as a life coach? And the thing is that when I was in corporate America, they sent me to coaching school at Motorola. I literally had to go to coaching school to manage my IT team, right? But while I'm in there and taking all these courses, because even after I had my degree, the corporations still send you to their schools, And I started thinking, my people in the hood need this. How can I get this to my people? This is good stuff. And that's how I started doing it. I started creating the curriculum. And so when people say, who certified you? I certified myself, because I brought this to how we can use it. And it's completely different than what other people are doing, because our work is culturally specific, and we can include the spiritual in the metaphysical and use it for healing beyond just in our heads, right? So was there a certain time when, do you remember what you were doing when you were like, I have to go beyond what they're teaching me? I have to. Do you remember that, Yetunde, when that was? You had that bright light come on?
Oh, yes. Well, firstly, and I'm not going to go on a long tangent about it, but there was a bright light that had been a calling on me for as early as I can remember, 12. And I could remember I didn't have enough knowledge of the spirit of my own self, right? Because I didn't have a certification and the validation of my own self, because I'm like, this is strange, and I don't want that. So I actually had to, I think I will say that the bright light hit. I started my path as a nail tech. I've been doing nails since I was 18, with a license, but I started in the 6th grade, and it took me, I probably was maybe 20 something when I really realized, I said, wait a minute, I went to school. I was taught all of these things. I went to Catholic school and went to nail school. I did all the stuff. And I said, it is not my technique that was taught to me, that these people are coming to pay for their service. And that's not what they're receiving from me. This is something else. And for me, that was my aha moment of, this is a healing gift. This is some transformation that is happening. When you came to me just as a nail tech, You came to me and something was transformed when you left out of that place. You felt great. And that's why I always say, when sometimes people don't put respect on people and their trades, right? Because of their certification and degrees. But I'm like, you know, the Most High always had to remind me that was the first gift that I gave you. And it still is present right now through touch. So I was probably in my 20s when I finally gave some respect to where I came from. But I didn't start stepping in even farther into it. Well, I guess I was stepping into it. I just kind of thought that I was taking the slow approach because I took years to move through different things. Yeah, but definitely in my 20s, I was very aware that there was a transformation that occurred with myself and other people when I spoke to them or touched them.
That is so wonderful.
School couldn't just give me that. I had to have the applied wisdom to see that. And that's why I think that other part of that, you know, with the self-education is important, because like Alana said, they can't tell you that this is, you know, what, if you do this, this is the reaction that the people will have to you, or the job is well done. No one can give you the validation or certify that. You have to see it with your own eyes and feel it and connect. So I would have to say in my 20s, from even outside of what I thought was outside my field, doing nails, but it was totally in alignment with everything.
It was in alignment because of what you said earlier, touch. Touch is the most healing element that we have. I mean, just all of the prophets, all of the teachers have talked about the touch. Even just touching the hem of the gown of Jesus, that healed somebody because they touched it. So that, you can't take that away from you. But if you don't believe in it, doesn't do anybody any good.
Yeah.
Very cool. What about you, Alana?
I was a kid, so I remember mommy had stacks of books, those World Atlas books, and I taught myself. She had already taught me how to read, and then I started going from there. When I saw that the reaction from everyone, like, how did you learn that? And I'm thinking, like, there's books here. Why wouldn't I learn it? It was, to me, it was just on a matter of fact, like, why wouldn't I want to learn it? There's books in here. But I realized it is kind of like different for me. I'm self-taught with a lot of other different things, right? And I've always been that way, and I've taught myself, but I had to get certified in order to, you know, a license or certification in order to qualify for certain positions, right? So when I was a child, I was very young when I learned that teaching myself was better than sitting with other people and learning, because in kindergarten, I had a teacher that sat me in a corner every day because I would read the Dick and Jane books before everybody else, and she's going through each sentence. I'm like, why are we just reading word by word? I would finish the book. She put me in a corner. And I realized at that point that I saw it as being smart or teaching myself was wrong. I learned it was wrong. So I stopped when mommy died. Like, I came out there with you still encouraged us, right? When we went to Sioux City, Iowa, you encouraged all that. But after my mother died, the learning and the self quest and all of that kind of subsided, because I was taught that it was wrong. I was taught that you can't do it that way. You got to do what they teach you. That's just, you can't use that because you don't have a degree. You can't do that. So I actually had it reversed. When I got older, I stopped teaching myself. And then when I started working, I just applied what I had already learned as growing up. I knew how to type when I was a kid because mommy had a typewriter. I know how to do all these things. So I just reapplied what I learned as I was going through class. So I went to classes to take the knowledge I already had so they can say I am okay or I pass.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
And that is what you call the slow road. You know, not compared to what you were saying, Yetunde, but compared to what Alanda, because they're like making you stop so that they can tell you how to do it, but you're already doing it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's how I learned. I learned to integrate what I already knew and just take it to class because they told me I couldn't do it that way or I couldn't do math problems that way. So I had to just not tell everybody that I knew something and just sit in the class and act like I was learning like everybody else. You know what I mean? It was very
Yeah,
frustrating.
and most people don't realize that the public education system literally is not designed to teach our children. It's actually designed to indoctrinate them so that they can learn how to work in particular skilled labor jobs to take care of the wealthy people in society, right? Not so much to tap into your genius. We don't want you to tap into your genius. That's why the whole idea of creativity is squashed.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
by the time a child is in third grade, their spark for curiosity and learning something new and oh, look what I did is squashed. Nope. I don't want to look at what you did. You do what I said for you to do. And if you don't, I'm gonna punish you. Go sit in the corner. Isn't that
Yeah.
interesting? I,
Yeah.
yeah.
That
So the if you could go back and look at in your younger years and look at now, what would you say are three things you wish that you could have learned when you were younger that would make a difference? You would see that if I had known this, if someone like in school, if they had this that they were teaching me, my life would be so much more enhanced. What would you say, Yetunde?
I think I will definitely go with which is oddly ironic, but the topic of self-education and self-care,
Mm-hmm.
because for me, another part of the path, when I turned 18, I was supposed to go to art school. But remember, I had taught myself at sixth grade how to do nails.
Yeah.
And my mother told me when I was graduating, I said, Mom, what would you say if someone doesn't want to go to art school, but they want to go to nail school? And my mom, she had, pushed me in that direction. Like, go take your take a test, entry exam, and we're going to get you in school. So she supported me, but somewhere in there that was outside of my parents, the real reason why at that time I did not want to go to art school was because somewhere I thought I couldn't do it because it was something that I wasn't, fostering in that particular belief of I can do it, even though
Mm-hmm.
no one was stopping me. They
Mm-hmm.
always said yes, yes, yes. So I actually needed more continuing to educate me and just let me know, yes,
It's
you.
okay to go that. It's okay to go to art school. But yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's okay to go to art school and it's okay to go to nail school
You could have did
because
them both. You could have did it all. Yeah.
because these were things that I did as a child. They were things that I did as a child. They were things that I taught myself. So I think having more uh even more saying yes is what I needed.
Mm-hmm.
And it was coming from the self-care piece, the self-belief piece. So, I think that would have made a great difference because I didn't have the other people stopped me. I stopped me.
Yeah.
I needed to be able to say yes.
That's right.
And when I think about it, all the things that I've ever wanted to do in my life, it happened as soon as I said yes. So I think that the self-care part, the self-confidence piece, the saying yes to the self, uh, those are all the things that I think I would have loved more of. And even just having this conversation, it was the aha moment of, oh, that's what you do for other people.
That is. You put
you
that
tell them
in.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yes.
Mhm.
Exactly. Because it was missing for you, you now know to put it in for other people. I can definitely hear that. Yep.
Yeah.
Alanda, what do you say?
I
Who's
would
that?
say, I would say pretty much the same thing, the self-confidence piece, because I think when my mother did die, I had the expectation that I was going to stay with you or the other aunt, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I checked out. I realized that everything that I wanted or thought I was can pursue, I couldn't get anymore because um, no one was supporting me or encouraging me, right? And I think I stopped myself. If I had been more resilient in the educational piece and not allow people to um, psychologically tell me no, or you know what I mean, do things to psychologically stop me,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I think that had a lot to do with it. And it started in high school because I was just telling someone about this earlier today that when I first entered school, into high school, I went to where where my grandmother worked.
Right.
And she enrolled me in all the classes, knowing that I had, graduated 8th grade with nothing but good, great. I should have had honor classes, right? So going in and getting these actual basic classes was like 6th grade, right? And I was seeing all these different efforts, and she said it was, well, I think you kind of like you need to start this way and that way. And like I said, I stopped, and I stopped myself because I felt that, well, I'm not graded. I'm not doing this. So then I had to go and I couldn't sit in the classes because they were just too much. But I had to go and get into some other classes, right? I had to talk to the person, the counselor, whatever, myself. So if I had the more of us, I guess, support and the self-confidence and the drive to keep at,
Mm-hmm.
if I had been rebellious that way, I would have gone away to school. I probably would have just not be afraid to leave because we were afraid to leave.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so the self-education, I just collected credentials, basically. I started collecting all these credentials because I felt I was never good enough. So if I had the self-confidence and the support and the ability to encourage myself, I think those are kind of like the three things that I would go back and grab.
Yeah, I can
Uh,
hear. Oh, go ahead. What were you gonna say,
oh,
Yetunde?
I was gonna say, yeah, that uh, it sounds like we were saying the same thing, but also extensions as well,
Mm-hmm.
um, and add-ons. And so, yes, I could totally, I totally agree with that and see that. And you said something that made me remember. I could remember being in high school, junior year, and I had an English teacher who I had her sophomore year, and I was just, I guess, trying to coast, do my work, leave me alone. And she put me in a AP English class for the next year. And I'm like, hey, yeah, this is wrong on my schedule. I didn't sign up for that at all. And this teacher, she just knew that I could do it. And she
Mm-hmm.
kind of, I don't want to say made me, but she did kind of just make me go there. And oftentimes, for me, that was what would happen. I would learn via spirit, I would learn self taught, and then I would have someone else come along and help me put things in perspective without taking away from what I had learned. But it was a matter of if I had the confidence to let you see what I had to work with, because I would kind of tuck it away.
Wow.
Yeah, wow. That's
That
good.
is so cool. So is well, I'm going to share my three because you guys, I know that you're going to be able to relate to this. So the what I wish that I would have known at a younger age was the Marv technique.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
yes.
Wish that I would have known the Marv technique at a younger age
Yes.
meditation, affirmations, which is what you all are talking about, the self-talk, the confidence, believing in yourself, relaxation, trusting that God has us, the universe has us, we're safe no matter what, and then visualizing the power to see our future without fear of being stopped, right? So the Marv technique. The other thing I wish that I would have known was my own cosmic blueprint.
Yeah.
Okay, if I would have known at 12 that I was a queen of spade and a fire rooster, y'all wouldn't know me right now.
Listen, you done brought that into play.
Come on,
I'm gonna tell the whole truth.
come
But
on.
I've known all of the who I am, from the human design, the natal chart,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
what
yeah, 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 yeah.
divinities was around me.
Period.
I will be here.
I wouldn't be here. I'm telling you, we had to find each other to know this. And then the last thing that I wish that I would have known, the importance of nutrition.
Yes.
Okay, I mean, it's still coming up for me. Like, okay, you know, at 60, you have to start changing your diet because your this happens. This, you know, can somebody please teach that and continue to? So those three things, I really can see that they would have helped me so much. But it also is who we have become as the teachers, right? We do get this information out, you know, but sometimes I think we take it for granted because we do use it in our day-to-day life. But imagine if young people had this sooner.
You know, you triggered something else, and it's very current right now.
Mm-hmm.
It made, when you said knowing the Marv technique, but then something else came right behind that. Learning forgiveness.
Yes.
Oh my God. Like, you could have not been so stubborn, and you could have moved through some different things in life where you would have forgive that person and move forward.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, not had certain blocks.
Yeah.
So that, when you said that, it made me think about, oh yeah, but I'm so into the space of that right now.
That's all. Listen, you can't even trigger the Marv technique if you haven't opened your heart with forgiveness, because that's the first step in all healing processes is forgiving. You can't contact God, the universe, whoever, if your heart is cold, angry, shut down.
Yeah.
I don't know why you praying.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Because
Because you don't have
open.
you
But
don't have you don't have room in your heart for the blessings of God to sit there anyway. Because all you got room for is whatever hate, anger, and frustration.
yeah,
You can't get there.
you can't
It's
get
got to go through that.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that was good because I was like, oh my God, this is really so now this, you know, this could be almost a political question, but what are your concerns about the so-called public education? What are your concerns? Because, you know, Alanda, you have grandchildren. Yetunde, your children are still in school. I have grandchildren, you know. What are your concerns? And especially now with so many things going on and so many things being introduced that we're not okay with.
I would say this. I'm gonna say this. Ever since I've been in school, I've learned this from my mother being involved. Public education is exactly what that is. And the self-education starts at home. And most of us overstand that we are the child's first teacher. That's part of the education piece. Yes, you have to send them to a public school because you can't afford a private school or whatever the conversation is. Learning is always. I did it with my children. I stayed involved. If there is something you have to engage your child to know if they are struggling in school, if they're smarter than the kids in their school. All of my children, I was so involved that if I saw something that they were just blowing through their homework and they were done in like 10 minutes, hold on, wait a minute, let's take a look. And they were done because the work was easy. So we started
Too
going
easy.
too easy. So then they started going through the process of I was getting them like test it. And then I would start asking, do you have a gifted program? Where is a school out here? So this is what I did with all my children. So I encourage other people that have children in public schools. You are the first teacher. You cannot depend on public education to teach your child everything. That's why we're talking about it, self-education. And so you have to, I had to teach my youngest son how to play the game because he would go to school and he would just not sit and he would not engage at all. I said, okay, I know you know more than the teacher. I said, so this is what we're going to have to do. You're going to have to sit there and just play along like you don't know and just be quiet, whatever, and do your work. And he said, oh, that's kind of hard. I hate it. I said, okay, I know you do, but you don't want to be in a space where they're shutting you out or they're retaliating or sending you to a principal office or whatever because they can't deal with
special education.
Special education, especially with boys. So I had to tell him how to do. I said, look, you know how to talk to your teachers. I was like, just talk to them. Ask them when you're done with your work, ask her if you can help her. Ask her if something you can do. Start doing these type of things. I said, because I taught my children networking also. So these type of things, you got to teach social skills. You got to teach social skills, even though they have social studies in school. You got to teach social skills, networking. You got to teach this your children how to apply intelligence or wisdom instead of just using the book knowledge. So if I can change public education, I would get more paraprofessionals or have it more open that parents can go in and volunteer. Volunteer and sit with the kids. The local school council and the PTA and all of that used to be a part of the foundation of public schools. Now you can hardly get the education, you can hardly get the support. So I think that it's better to start educating these parents so they can understand how important it is to get involved, because when you are involved, the teachers take notice and they start doing certain things. It kind of make their job easier, but it also make them understand that they have to be held accountable for what they're doing, because I'm in Dubuque, Iowa. Y'all already know. There's a lot of Black kids here. You already know what's going on. And most of the educators are white.
Yep.
So you already know what's happening. So that is the most important part with children of color. The parents need to be very involved and understand. If you don't understand policy, find somebody that can sit in the class or sit in a meeting with you when you're going through this, whatever those terms. Yes, that. So these are the type of things. So I think it starts at home. It starts with the parent first.
Yeah, and one of we just had someone chime in and said, and then when they know that the child is supported, they treat the children different.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. What were you gonna add, Yetunde?
So I have on two ends of the spectrum. I still do. Over the last maybe 4 years, I started heavily working more with children. So I actually teach. The schools hire me to teach storytelling, but I really teach them storytelling through sound, art, music, healing, and energy. And I have a very strategic way that I bring what I have into the table to transform everybody, the staff, the children.
That's right.
By me just being my own self. And so when I think about who's probably watching this and my concerns, but us as coaches or people who are already in the healing arts of all the things, yes, doing something like Alanda said, if you can volunteer, but if you are working within those school systems, you still got to bring what you got. You got to bring your heart. And I think that that's a requirement for parents and the staff. It is very difficult. Last term, I had two schools, one on the west side, one on the south side. The one on the south side, had a very diverse students because they bust some kids in. And so it wasn't just all primarily Black children, but the school on the west side, they was mostly Black and brown babies. And you could just see those disparities that were things that were at home that really affect what happened at school. And then it affected how the teachers were going to actually be. And the Southside school, there was a lot of 2-parent home stuff. So those teachers, because like Alana said, they know that the child is supported, so they brought a different energy when it came to teaching them. The West Side School was something totally different. It was like they did not care. They would ask some of the teachers, why is it that they are nice to the students? And I remember just being so confused that the children said, Miss Lotus, you ain't from here, are you? They knew because I came in with something different. And so I think that a lot of what we were talking about, the self-care part, and teaching them how to, love themselves, and be supported, that is something that I'm concerned about, because I worked with the children who were K through second grade. I had children that were suicidal.
Yeah.
In both schools. I had some students that were depressed in both schools. Even though I talked about CPS and those different disparities, but both schools still ended up having students that had certain things that were very similar. So my concern is, how do we train and support staff to be more compassionate? How do we teach them how to, I'll just say it, love and like your own self, so that you can love what it is that you do? That's part of what makes me think about what we were talking about, by the self-education piece will get you to the place where you will become trained in something that you love to do eventually. And if you don't love you and don't have the self-care part, the self-education part, don't go into schooling, because that ain't a part of your path.
Wow.
Don't go into that. And they're, I see it all the time. The staff, they are just tired. The parents, they tired. They ready to fight, and rightly so. They put a child in my class last term, and I could tell that they put him there because, number one, I know he had an IEP. Two, I know that they were thinking he was going to be a troublemaker and just stick him anywhere. And the first day of class, I asked them, what's their story? Because that's what I'm there to teach them. And he told me his name, and he said, I like to be angry, and I like to eat food all day. And I smiled at him and I said, well, maybe we're going to write about food, and maybe we're going to deal with our emotions. And by the end of the 10-week program, I would say that child's name, and I would say, hit me with an affirmation. That boy would say, I am peace, I am love, I am kind, I am gratitude. He has so many full things. We can make a difference in those schools as a parent, as a teacher, as somebody that's concerned, and the one thing I remember, the first day with those children, I went outside when it was time for them to go home. I want to meet your mama. I want to meet your daddy, uncle, cousin, whoever coming. I'm coming outside. And the other teachers looked at me like, what is she doing? I'm going outside. The kids leaving. I'm going outside with the kids. You're not going to dismiss me and shove my kids in one little space. And the last day of that program, I told that child, his mother, who's very concerned about him, because I know that they have tried to get him on some medication. I told her, I said, he was my best reader. He was the most compassionate. And I noticed the difference with the children. All it took was for one body to care. So yeah, I agree with Alanda that you need parents to care and get in there, because they love them kids.
That is so true.
Oh,
Yeah, that you said so much that has me over here smiling, because one of the reasons that I took on, I think in 1999, I prayed about it. I said, I want to be able to support leaders and teachers. I know that I can't be a teacher because I'm not that kind of classroom type person, but I love children. I love children. And we even started Master Force with the conversation of taking care of children. We started working with my son and his peers when they were 10, 11, 12 years old, teaching them the Marv technique. It wasn't named the Marv technique then. Then it was just, come on to my house, we're going to meditate. But I also remember for myself that if it wasn't for teachers, I know that I wouldn't be here. I would not be alive. I would not be alive because I did not come from a family where there was support, love, or attention or anything. I was signing my own report cards since I was in fourth grade. Nobody cared. I was making A's and B's, straight A's and B's, all the way through high school. Nobody cared. And I was participating in tap dance and swimming. I knew how to do so many things, but at home nobody cared. It was the teachers. It was the lifeguards that taught me how to swim. It was Mr. Griggs who helped me write my valedictorian speech for the 8th grade. You hear me? So I have a love for teachers that is so deep because when I did graduate from high school, Miss Leggett said, if we don't get you out of Chicago, you're gonna die. And she found a college that would take me. She paid for me to take my PSAT. She had her mother buy my airline ticket. Her mother was a clerk in the office. And then the security guards brought my luggage. It wasn't my family. So the what you're saying makes a big difference because when my children were at school, guess where I was? Right there with them.
Yes. And there is more, it's very important too, because when you are in a predominantly white area,
Yeah.
the teachers are already conditioned to see your child as a problem.
It's
They're
different.
not going to see your child as their own children that's having a bad day. They're going to like, oh, well, let's come over here and let's talk. They see your child having a bad day and they're going to send them to the office. They're going to say they bad. They got this, they got all of that. And so when that is one of the, I guess, factors, that's something that have to be. It's very important. It's imperative for you to be a part of your child's education because then you can make them accountable. That's what I mean. Because I was very shocked that by the time I got, I guess 10 years ago, that people that look like me everybody didn't have Black teachers. All of my teachers were Black. I had very few white teachers growing up.
Listen, I didn't have white teachers until college.
That's when I had
From Miss Burke in
yes.
elementary school all the way up, there was no conversation.
It was normal.
Now the administrators
yes.
were white. The principal, we had white principals, right?
But we had Black principals. I had Black principals. Believe it or not, I have not had.
We're in high school. We had.
We're in high school. I went to Julian, so Julian was already new and it was all Black, right?
Yes,
so we had that was a privilege, but to have this, and you're right, the administrators and folks who work in the office primarily were not looking like us, but the teachers, it was very important back then for teachers to be Black. Most of the teachers in Chicago were Black at the time.
Well, now we don't have that. And this is the challenge that we have because we have young white females who have been taught by the book how to deal with our children, and it doesn't come from the heart.
Nope. It is, when I tell you that it is the worst thing ever to see. Like there's so many times that I would in our program, when there were certain children that I knew was the problem kids, I would say, if that child cut up, send them on down to me. Because I'd rather us deal with them than send them there. Because they treated those kids very differently, very cold. And then they would do these like I don't want to say pacifying, or passive.
Yes.
The way they would respond to them. And I'm like, do you hear this child put their whole soul out here for you? And they're coming to you for some support and you just don't have nothing.
Nothing.
There is nothing. Whole is just dead. And so there's a lot of times that like after I would be done with my section of storytelling, then I would move into another area and I would come and just collect kids because they're not a problem. They're just children doing what children do.
That's right. And we don't have to get in the habit. And you also said something about they give stipends now for putting children on medication at a young age.
They sure do.
Yeah.
Okay, so when
And you,
parents get lulled into this conversation, your child is a problem, we need to give them. No, you can use Bach flower remedy, BACH, which is a
Yes.
flower essence. That's a good thing to study. Okay, if your child is having, I've been using Bach flower with my children since they were 7, 8. No other kind of medication. No.
yes, my,
Yes.
my my kids, when they would come in from the West Side School, the first day that I encountered them, I got there early to observe what was happening. And they had all of the children sitting on the floor with their coats on, but they're sitting in front of my classroom. Why do they have their coats and stuff on? And you're demanding that they shut up, and they're about to come into my room. So the next time I appeared at work, I came in with essential oil, lavender,
Yep.
every class.
Yep.
And we would start off with meditation and some
Yep.
affirmations, because
That's right.
you had to reset those kids after dealing with people screaming at them all day. So that's in some schools where if you did have, teachers of color, and we might be tired and how we deal with them throughout the day, then you may have the other group where the teachers ain't got a pulse. And you got to bring some life into them. And so, there was so many things that, was so difficult to deal with within those schools. And then the schools will stick in a assistant that you don't ask for, that you don't need. That's basically one of them. So now you can't even get through sometimes. And that's when I learned I got to train them all.
Yes.
You
The
do.
staff and them babies.
That's exactly right. And with my youngest son, Aretha, you remember this with Zakor. I was at the school. They thought I worked for the school. I was.
I know.
I was.
Yeah.
I was the reading teacher. I was the recess help. I was at the school, and my son had been reading and using a computer at a very young age, so I wasn't there for him. He asked me to come and help his friends. He couldn't believe his friends couldn't read. And
Yeah,
he wanted me to, can you help my friends
you
read?
did. You did.
I did.
You did. You took them all on that trip too.
I took them all to Egypt. Because I grew up with them. That was,
Yeah.
grew up when they got to 8th grade. And
Yeah.
they said, oh, the kids are going to Washington, D.C. And I said, well, why do we have to go to Washington, D.C.? Well, Miss Stewart, where should we go? I said, to Egypt? They said, Egypt? I wrote a proposal, sent it in, and they said, well, where are we going to get the money from, Miss Stewart? I said, well, the parents have to pay half, and we fundraise for the next. And that's what we did.
And y'all did a good job.
We took them. And guess what? I put, every time a parent brought me $100, $10, it didn't matter. I gave her a receipt that said, we are going to Egypt. I said, put this on your refrigerator because that's our affirmation.
That is awesome.
Yes.
That is so cool.
Yes.
That's a parent being involved.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So parents, you guys
Yes.
are making some very valid points.
Yes.
We all have to participate. We cannot leave other people to take care of our children because they won't do it.
And that's another
Yeah.
aspect of the self-education with health and and clinics and going to the doctor. I learned at a young age about self-education for myself when it goes go to the doctor. You don't let them tell you anything. You got to question everything. So my part of my self-education was questioning everything. And so this is like, school is one thing, and then you have the medical field, because they are trained to think that we have a high tolerance for pain. We can be experimented on or whatever. So the self-education part is not just school. It is also taking care of yourself, like you said, with nutrition, also with giving your kids Bach flowers instead of giving them medicines because they have ADHD. There's a lot of different things to do, and they have homeopathic doctors that can help you as well. So they will work with your actual doctor too. So there's a lot of self-education. When we look at this, we're looking at being well informed. because nobody's gonna teach you how to be well informed but yourself, because there's so many things out here that can tell you what you're supposed to think, but being well informed on going on what you say with the Marv technique, learning how to do these things, knowing your spiritual GPS guide you to education, that kind of thing. So yeah, so I wanted to also add that part in there, your medical, get that
That's
in.
right. So, let's
Listen,
go ahead. What? Go ahead.
and I was going to say too, that makes me think of back to the topic at hand, all the self-care and the self-education. That's why I'm in school right now for Chinese medicine, because I refuse.
TCM. That's right.
I refuse for you to tell me that these people can't be healed from these things. I refuse to have that.
That's
and
all. That's right.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
It's
and I'm gonna get the
wonderful.
information and share it, just
And
like what
We're
we're
now.
doing.
That's right.
Mhm.
So this goes. So now, because Aretha, both of you have just sparked something, I want you to give the audience a little look at what it's like for you to go into self-education. Like, what does it actually look like? Because people are saying, what do you mean by self-education? What? How did that? So just take a topic, any topic. You can take one that you brought up and just, walk them through maybe, 3 or 4 different steps that you would go through just to get to know for yourself what it is you need to know about that subject. Or even just to open it up for you. Because, once you open up a subject, it can continue, for years, right?
Mhm.
So what would you say?
Yeah.
Just give them an idea of what self-education actually looks like for you.
You want to go?
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was like, you can
Go
go.
ahead, sis.
All right.
Oh.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because both of y'all just gave 2 topics.
Okay.
Both of y'all just gave two very clear topics. Alanda, when you talked about the whole health thing, what would that look like if somebody needed to go looking at self-education for their health? What would you start with? What would be the first thing you would start with?
Well, the first thing I would start is looking at what the doctor told me. Say that the doctor say I have to put my child on ADHD medicine.
Okay, so number 1, I've been told to get my child ADHD medication, right?
And if I do not, the school's I'm gonna be penalized. All right, I don't want to. So what do I need to do next? Research the effects of the ADHD medicine.
Where would you go to research?
Google or the library.
Google. You would go to Google and
Go to
research.
Google.
Okay.
Go to Google and research, because that's the quickest search engine. And if there are books or YouTube, because YouTube University is out there.
YouTube University, that's one of my favorite universities.
So you look at the side effects of the medicine. Once you see that, and you just start searching more, it would take you, actually don't go down the rabbit hole, because then you start looking and then it'll tell you other things, right? So you want to stick to that one subject. You research it. If there are books out, go get the books and read about them. Then look to see if there is, they used to tell us this when we were younger or when I was growing up, always get a second opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Always get a second opinion. Now, what that second opinion is, do you go to another doctor, another, what is it? Western medicine? Is that what we are? Are we?
Yes, we're Western medicine.
Do you go
Western, but then your second, it could be Eastern medicine,
Yes.
like a naturopath, Chinese medicine doctor, or you can actually still go to another Western medicine doctor, just different from the one you saw.
Right, because it could be something else. And if you don't, because a lot of times if we start questioning, that means that's your internal, that's your little GPS, your spirit guide, your higher self, this is inside. Your intuition is telling you go somewhere else, look for something else. Mm-hmm. Right. So you look for that, you research that, you read about it, and then you have to really educate yourself to the point that when you go back to counteract the argument with the school and get your receipts, because these people, you have to have medical, you know what I mean? You have to have proof that you're not, why I'm not putting my child on this, and this is why. And this is we're using something else that's on an alternative. We're not going to do what you recommended. I'm doing what my doctor recommended. So those are the type of things it's a process, and you get a support team, because if you can't afford it, trust me, there are other people out here that will be glad to help you. Go get into a Facebook group or some type of social media group for other moms that have ADHD children that's on the spectrum, all of those type of things. There are groups that meet up. So there is someone else that experiencing what you're experiencing. So you research, you connect with other people that's going through what you're going through, get a second or third opinion, and then just stay present with learning about this and not giving up, because you were led to research, you were led to self-educate. So keep going, because then you can help somebody else get through.
And keep advocating for your child. Do not surrender your child to the authority of someone else.
Yes. Even if you happen to put them on medicine anyway.
You still advocate. You still
advocate.
That's right. Because you want to stay close attention.
Yes, still, if you have to do it, still pay attention. Look at what happens with the diet, what is going on with the diet, because that's nutrition. So
that's the first thing I would do. If anybody's child is ever diagnosed with any kind of anything, the first thing you want to do is change their diet, because I promise you, you're giving them too much starch, too much sugar, too much caffeine. All of those three things interrupt their thinking patterns, period. So we have to get back, and we talked about this the other night. We have to go back to a simpler way of living so that our children can live healthy.
The world is kind of letting us go like that anyway. If
I hope so.
Attention.
Right. Okay, Yetunde, what would you say? Our producer is like, can y'all please move on?
Oh, yes.
Yetunde,
okay, so I definitely could talk all day long about on the medical end of it, but I'm
not.
Are
Right.
Y'all hit some great points, so I'm gonna hit something different. So in the topic of how to foster self-education, let's say that there is something inside of you and you keep coming back to it. You keep going, why do I want to know about that? What is that? What is that thing? Why am I connected to that? Firstly, I'm going to ask you to see what the topic is. If you're interested in doing nails, being an artist, going to med school, or learning about the body, being a healer, look to see what those things are at a very core, basic level. Pull out at least 5 things that you like about what you discovered in the defining what that is. Then I want to say step two. So if you're like, all right, I got some gifts. They are, but I can see some things. I be feeling some stuff. I feel like I can help people. And I know stuff that others don't know. Which one do you feel the strongest about? And then I would say step 3, maybe 3 and 4. How do you apply whatever that step is that you are identifying with the most? How do you see yourself doing that thing in life, in everything you do? You have identified a gift that you have. And now that's where the self-education comes. You've defined it. You've identified it inside of yourself. You have made connection with how you have applied that in your everyday life. Now, research who else is doing that. Who else is talking about that? What books? What outside of YouTube University? Going to look at things like peer-reviewed scholarly information is nice. Look at different associations and organizations that are doing certain things that you are interested in. Because one thing I know for sure is that we may not all be the same, but we were not created to be the only one doing a thing.
No, that's right. We need an abundance. That's what I tell people. I said, listen, we need to have a master force life coach at every dinner table. We need a lot more coaches in the world. There's not, people say we're saturated. No, we're not, because do you see the condition that we're in?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's the part I think about, sometimes I get in trouble with the community because I'm like, well, one, we are all healers.
Yep.
Because that's why you have the set of problems you have, because
right.
You're meant to heal them. I just may have tools in my self-education and then development that I know how to process more than the next person. Mm-hmm. And we are all psychic. Yep. If we are made from, the creator, whatever name you call him or her, that's a way to hear source. And Alana was talking about the gut, and your GPS.
Come on. That's right.
Why would you not have a way to get back to the source? It's already in you. So the self-education part is just you turning on your connection back to source because it's already in you. How are you now going to use that though?
And so you're going to have to turn the TV off.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, it ain't gonna be no long, what we watching, no. Because when you're called and you're answering, you're calling, TV is not going to be your distraction. That you're gonna have to choose when to watch, because studying and learning, that is a priority when you're moving in your purpose. Okay, so
yes, it's a treat for us to turn the TV on in my house. It's almost like we don't even know how to use it. Like I have to call my kids in and it takes 3 of us to figure out how to work because we got stuff to do. And they live normal children lives, but it's like, and we got one TV.
The first thing, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. That's
so
good.
Now, what is your favorite self-taught subject? If you had to choose one, what is your favorite self-taught subject? Do you have one? Can you think of one? What is the thing that you taught yourself how to do? And it could be anything. Like, I would say, everybody knows that I love to crochet, right? And so I had to teach myself how to read crochet patterns in a book. That's not the same as watching somebody on YouTube doing it. But reading it requires a different skill, and you have to kind of know the stitches. So, and I because I love to crochet, everybody gets a gift from me that has been crocheted at some point in their life. If you haven't got one, just keep living. Right.
I like just want to say it. I like crochet.
Yes. So what do you have a favorite subject that was hard for you to learn? A self-taught
hard for me?
Yeah.
Oh.
Like it was challenging. Like it took something, but you said, I'm going to learn this.
Yes. My favorite, I wish I could get up and show you, because it looks like I have a little factory in here. And when we get off, I'm going back to my factory.
Oh, is it jewelry? Your oils or your jewelry?
I was gonna say jewelry and my oils. They were both self-taught. Oils, once I went into the Chinese medicine, I had a lot of refining, but at that point I had already had the download and the master's plan already. Like I could have taught that class, I know for sure.
Yeah.
And my teacher knew it. But the jewelry was different because there was a brother in the community that I wanted to, teach. And I said, can I be your apprentice? And he said he was going to teach me. He would always stand me up, never teach me. I don't know. But I remember being like, I don't need you. I said it to myself. I don't need him. And I remember it took me maybe like 2 years. I hadn't seen him. And he saw me one day and he said, oh, well, whose pieces that you got on? And before I knew it, he had his hands on it and was looking at it, investigating, right? And I said, oh, I made it. And I'm so just like, being all nice and not knowing what's happening. And I'm like, well, how have you been? Are you okay? I haven't seen you. He was investigating that jewelry and he said, you did that by yourself? Yeah. Well, who taught you? Then I had to just bust out and say, well, when you didn't, I had to sit down with myself.
Okay.
And the only way I said that was to touch it. I had to touch it. I had to cut my fingers a few times. I had to burn myself making jewelry. I had to get some bang ups, but now I can teach others, and I freely teach others.
And I can vouch for your jewelry and your oils because I have had and used both. And I need more of both. So we'll talk about that offline. Right.
I may have to come to
Yeah.
Chicago and visit you because I've been making jewelry for myself for the past 2 years, and I had my first art show and I was nervous because then after I made everything, and then I had to put it out, and I'm like, wait, I don't have any jewelry for myself.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, then you don't want to be like me, where it turns into you at first you may have some stuff for yourself, and then you don't have any, you don't have anything for other people. I'm not in that rhythm anymore, but I have been the opposite.
Oh,
I'm gonna make
yeah.
for
You
myself,
make everything. Because I love those earrings you have on right now.
I like those. Those are nice.
I did make these,
Yeah.
and
I like
they're
those.
really simple. Yeah.
I'm looking at them. Those are pretty.
Those are gorgeous.
you.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Alanda, what was something that you had to learn that was hard, that you had to that you actually taught yourself?
Discipline.
Discipline.
Good night. I'm done.
Oh.
I'm off the call now.
That's a great discipline. That's deep. That's a good one.
Discipline. Yeah, I hated it growing up. So when I got old enough to stop the discipline that I didn't like, I stopped. And I did not realize that it was actually affecting me as finishing things and completing, bringing things to completion. So when I just brought up the art show I had, that was a challenge for me because I make things on my own time, right? But to have a deadline to do things, that it takes a discipline. I create a lot. I have to finish what I create. The discipline to do that, to see it come to being, you have to be disciplined enough to even do that. Because sometimes you have that, what we said earlier about what 3 things we can, if we can change it, what will we do?
Mm-hmm.
Like support, self-sabotage. I wouldn't do that, so discipline is the hardest thing for me.
And it's ongoing.
It is definitely ongoing because you gave me a expert project.
Yes.
Everybody
got 2 expert projects, and I do an expert project every summer. That's the only reason that even went into the curriculum, because it's your master's every year.
Yes,
right?
yes, absolutely. So I have to I need to do some tapping because I can do my own thing on my own time, and I'm okay with that because I finish it. But when it's come to something, giving it to other people, or displaying, or creating a show, or an event, or whatever, or you giving me an expert project, now I'm in the thing like, oh, okay, I don't want to do that. And it's not that I don't want to do it. It's just that something stops me. So the tapping, I have to do some EFT. That's another thing, you guys. But I know discipline for me is the hardest thing for self-education, because you can't teach discipline.
You can't, and you have to cultivate discipline.
You have to cultivate.
You have to cultivate it, but that is something that's part of you being able to be the best that you are. You have to cultivate it in order to finish. You're not going to finish your Chinese medicine course if you don't have discipline. It's just not going to work.
Honey, that right there, it is a teaching moment to watch myself go in and out of, okay, I'm gonna finish. Ooh, this hard.
Yeah, and keep going through. That's right, and keep moving
going through.
That's right.
But I learned to call other people in. When I had one point where I said, all right, that's it, I'm quitting. And I told one of my Black acupuncture teachers and one of the other students who I love, they said, one of them said, no, you're not gonna quit because we need you. Yes. She told the other one, she said, come on, girl, I'm gonna teach you Black acupuncture. I said, Black acupuncture, what's that? And I would learn from this other student who she's finished now and she's in her practice, but the things that would happen, she shared her self-taught things, even within an environment of being learned. She shared that with me, and it was so many light bulbs. I said, I like acupuncture right now. It bought me another year.
There you go. There you go. I'm telling you. So, what are you learning next? And then we're getting down to the last of our questions. You guys are doing so great. What are you learning next?
Me?
Yeah, both of y'all. What are you
So
learning next?
the one, so school is constantly a learning, but outside of school, the self-taught thing,
Mm-hmm.
so excited. Hypnosis. I have been
Yes, I love hypnosis.
oh my, I've got
Is
some
that
really,
your expert project? That wasn't your expert project. Okay.
I can't remember what
No,
it
because
was.
I know one of our students just pulled hypnosis. This cohort, they have it.
Okay.
Hypnosis. I'm like, yes, somebody pulls it every year, but nobody has them do anything. And I use self hypnosis often. Okay, it's a
Yes.
tool.
See,
No, come
I
on,
want to do it
yes,
because
you
of I
what?
want to help others with it. And
Yeah,
when I thought about people that I was working with, like some of the things that they would say and do, I'm like, I need to be able to do some hypnosis.
yeah.
But then I started noticing that in some of my healing practices, people would look like they were in some sort of state anyway. And I'm
They
going
go
like,
into trance. Yes,
and I knew that part, but then I'm like, I want to learn deeper into that specific
that's
component.
wonderful. Yes.
So I have
I have
some,
helped at least 3 people creating a self hypnosis tape for them to quit smoking, and it's been effective.
Wow.
You know, just yeah. So I think self hypnosis
help.
and visualization are the two things that if we used, we would be so much lighter on ourselves. We are being too
Yes,
hard on ourselves. Whenever I get
yes,
stuck on anything, I stop and I visualize. I go back and I spend at least 3 days visualizing what it is that I'm intending to get done because I have gotten in my own way, either by being anxious or, as you said earlier, Alanda, self sabotage. So I just
mhm,
stop, and visualize. And then, through that visualization, my spirit tells me when to pick up and get going again,
Yeah.
you know.
yeah.
Yeah. So what are you learning next, Alanda?
I have been researching on Tai Chi and Qigong.
Yes.
To be
Flex for you, sis.
Yes.
Yeah, because I don't like exercising. I don't like
Yes.
that running and all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
Um, and I need something that's going to that right there is my next thing I want to learn. That's been on me like for the last like 3 or 4 days,
Mm,
learning Qigong and Tai Chi. I want to do both. I want to learn both.
wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Those especially as we get older, those are the two things that will sustain us much better than running.
Yes.
Because but we gotta stretch. You gotta stretch. You gotta do some
Yeah,
movement. The body loves to move, and we can sit for 2 hours and talk, and when we get done, we need to go and stretch.
Yes.
yes,
Yes.
Whatever that
yeah,
is. So that is so cool.
yeah.
Absolutely.
So
And
now, go ahead. What were you gonna
I
say?
was to Alanda, and Tai Chi and Qigong is in TCM, it's
Yeah,
considered medicine. So
it
these are
is.
some of the things that we'll prescribe, and it's great for your organs and your spiritual. You could go into medical Qigong, you could go into the spiritual
Come
aspect of it.
on.
Like,
Come
I
on.
love it. You are going,
Yes.
you're going to love it.
Wow. Okay. Okay. I'm excited now. Thank you.
Yes. I
Uh,
know some teachers too. I'll link you to some too.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, yes, yes. I love it. So we're getting to the end. This has been so dynamic. I know that it'd be easy for us to continue on in this conversation because we just touched the surface on some things. But I just want to thank you guys and acknowledge you for being here. And if you want to let our audience know any projects, any things that you have coming up, anything that they can engage with you through, or if you're taking clients, where how can they contact you? And then any final statement that you may have. Either one of you, go ahead. Go ahead, Alanda. You the senior in the group. Go ahead.
Oh,
Yes.
wow. Yeah, I was just reminded at a program we were at that we're the next generation to die.
That's not what that is. We must. That's why we say "I go, I may." That means permission to speak. And
Right.
the
Right.
elder
I didn't
has
like
said that you got permission to speak as you are the elder.
yes.
And
And
you have certain wisdom that I'm not there yet.
I'm on it. No, I actually I pride
Thank
myself
you,
in being an elder.
Yetunde.
Oh,
Put
thank
that.
you for
Tell
that.
them that.
I know. But I thought it was funny when he said that. Like, no, you don't say that to people like that. You don't do that.
Yeah, you do. No, go ahead.
I always throw a little humor in there. I just want you. That's what I do.
You the last one in the room, honey.
Yeah. I have a website. So basically alandagregory.com. That's links to everything that I do. I do social media management, digital. I'm a digital creator. So I can do a lot of different things for different clients. And I incorporate my coaching in the business or the creative professional aspect, or coaching, or just straight up coaching. Like you need me to help you, whatever area you need some help in, I can assist you with that. And then I put myself through a new phase every time I coach someone, I pick something for myself that coach myself during that process. So so anybody that is looking, just go to alandagregory.com. I also have a radio station, dubcityradio.com, and and um and a YouTube channel. So if you go on YouTube, we are also streaming on the United Music Mafia. We have a podcast on Friday, and it's on the United Music Mafia on the Roku channel.
Wonderful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. What about you, Yetunde? And then I'll come back to you for your final statement, Alanda. Go ahead, Yetunde.
Yes. So if you are on Facebook and Instagram, you can find me under Lotus Love Spirit Healing. That's on Facebook and Instagram. That Facebook page, it has my website information, my phone number. I am taking clients for Reiki sessions, coaching clients, sound healing, divinations, and spiritual guidance and readings to help you get on the path of your destiny and really get very particular about some of the ways that we can pull out your gifts and how to use them. Something that I have, so I'm doing also a series, it's called Journey to Love and Self-Compassion. So that series is 4 weeks long, where we take you on a journey to do just that, learn how to love yourself and have some compassion with you.
Yeah.
So I've got that going on. I'm constantly taking on, as they say, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. Mm-hmm. So I'm always taking on students to teach them energy healing. Mm-hmm. And I think that all people, you may not go as far as I go, but all people need to have a tool that they can whip out to heal themselves, use on their children and close loved ones. So I'm here to help you in that area and just kind of organize how to get on your path. Usually when someone comes to me, they may not know what they need me for. We get it going, and they're part of the process. It's my work is about empowerment. So, yeah.
That's wonderful. And you both have been so empowering in your conversation tonight. And it is really my intention that people can get inspired and just be so turned on when they're listening to this, that they go and say, oh, let me go and, learn something. Let me go do something. Let me go call somebody, let me look these two sisters up and see what we can get started with. So, I want to give you all a chance to give your final statement, and then we'll go ahead and sign out. So, is there anything, what would you say? Today has been a very powerful conversation on so many levels, and we're encouraging people to, to be lifelong learners, just to keep learning. What would be your final statements, you know, to your audience tonight?
Mm.
What,
Um,
what would you want to leave them with?
this is what I would say, that when you are in a space that you are feeling doubtful about something, a situation, and you realize that, people talk about praying and meditation, that is a good time to pick up something and to start, just go and start learning something. What is something? Challenge yourself. What is something that you always wanted to do? This might be that time when you get into a space that you've been doing everything, you've been working, you're tired of working, they're acting crazy at work, whatever. There is something that's taking you, that's guiding you to the answer that you need. Because sometimes after you prayed and meditated and did all the right things, it's time for the work. It's time for you to actually do something. And that is that step in the direction of, oh, I want to do this. Just start discovering. You don't have to do it all in one day, and pace yourself, because anytime it's very easy to start a business. You can pay for the paperwork and do all of that. And then you lose
Interest.
inspiration, right? You lose interest.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say is just take small steps, discover and self-discovery, and
Mm-hmm.
just go from there. Is this not a contest? You were brought to this space or this time to start looking at what is it that you want to do different. And that's pretty much what Yetunde said.
Mm-hmm.
What is it that you want to do?
What
Think,
is your purpose?
what
That's
is your
right.
purpose?
It's
And
in
you
there.
just start from there. And if you have to reach out to our community and who we are, all of us can help you with that. So we
Mm-hmm.
really, I'm in Dubuque, Iowa. So if any of you that's in Dubuque or in Iowa, contact me. Master Force located in Chicago. They are all over the world. Wherever you are in
We
the
are
world,
all over the
they're
world.
all over the world. Trust me. They're in South America. There's some in Africa. I mean,
Bali, we're in
always. So
Puerto Rico, Jamaica. We're all over the world.
period.
London.
So if you want some help and okay, I know what I want to do, but I don't know where to start,
Yeah.
contact Master Force Academy, because we can help you with that. We can help
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
What are your final words for our audience tonight, Yetunde?
Um, a little bit of what Alanda said, a little bit of what you said, a little bit of what I said, and people have said to me. One statement I think about is that there's enough room in the sky for all the birds to fly.
Yeah.
When I think of that, it makes me immediately think about, we all have something, and there's no need to be in competition with anybody but yourself,
That's right.
which means that you got to have, yes, discipline. You got to know what some gifts are that you have. And when you are in a space where you see all the other birds flying, don't try to compete. Even if you're not there yet, visualize and project yourself to be there,
Yes.
and allow your heart to be open to where people can start calling you in and say, hey, what you doing down there, little birdie?
Mm-hmm.
Is something wrong with your wing? Is it broke? Well, come on, let's fix that and let's go. You start to attract the thing that you want to be. And I encourage you to really pay attention to that. When you start wanting to be something and you feel it in your sleep, you feel it in your thoughts and your breath, and you start paying attention to, hey, I know a lot of people around that do that, then you got to recognize that you're a bird too. And you might need to take flight.
It's time to fly.
Yeah, so
That's
that's what I want
wonderful.
to share.
That's wonderful. Something that I taught myself long time ago is that anytime you have any sense of jealousy or envy of anyone, it's the other side of admiration. And all
Yes.
you have to do is realize, oh, I admire them for being like that. That means that that's something that I would like to learn or do for myself. So then what comes up is inspiration automatically. Okay?
Yes.
It's just an automatic. So it's almost like you have to take yourself out of that energy and go into a space where you can be inspired by what you see. So, to the listening audience, I hope that you gained a lot of inspiration tonight. I know that I did. I mean, I have more notes than what I talked tonight. Just listening to you guys. And we have one more show, one more episode of Let's Save Our Family, and that's tomorrow night where we're talking to Dr. Sanji, and we're speaking with Tabrisha and Hannah Bakir, and we're talking about serving our community. And that's exactly what we've been doing all week, but there's more, and we're going to find out what that looks like. And I ask you to tune in, and I thank you for supporting us. And shout out to our producer, Keisha Nicole. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And again, thank you, Alanda. Thank you, Yetunde. And my sister Queen, we need to have some tea, Yetunde, okay?
Yes. Yes. Well, let's figure that out.
We'll figure that
Yes.
out. All right. All right. Good night, everybody. You two stay there. I'm going to sign us out. Thank you.
Good night, everyone. Thank you for this.